Well, my first try at molding with clay. My little piggy got a bow on her even. See, that was hard to do. A little bow and little pieces of it. My doggy. See, my piggy. Okay, we're going to mold some clay today. Here's a little heart thing that I made there. And you just get, an oven baked clay at the store. It comes in a block. And, you just tear it apart and just work it until it gets soft. I just use a small piece at a time. And just keep, working it. Okay, and now that I've got it, really soft, I'm just take a piece of that one. There's a couple of the other ones that I made. Little bows and stuff on them. And we'll try to do the dog first. Just roll it up in a ball. And I pinch the nose on it. And just smooth it around. It smooths really easy with just your finger touching it even. So. Then I want to do his body. And I usually just, that looks about right, Doesn't have to be perfect, because by the time you're done, once you paint it and everything is going to camouflage a lot of the, little flupas. And then I just kind of pull on that, like the neck. And then you just put it on there. And I usually take the end of this, and this smooths it out. And just go all the way around that when you can, so it sticks. Okay, and usually I just take the paintbrush in and just roll it because it flattens things out. I know it don't look much like a dog right now, but this is how I start. You can always add more to it, if it's not big enough. Now I want to get the legs. You kind of want to judge with your piece of clay that you have if it's too much clay or. And then I just roll it down, and then I pinch like a foot on there and just play with it till it gets kind of round. You can always pull up on it, make the leg a little longer. And you do the same with that. I mean, it's not going to look right at first. You want to get all the pieces on and then start, doing your final. Okay. And do the other one. That one looks smaller than that one. Let's redo that. Okay, so it's starting to take shape here. It's not perfect, but you know, like I said, you do your final touches once you get all your pieces together. We're going to work on the back legs. I'm going to soften up some more clay here. Okay, so we got a little bit more clay softened up. And I just roll it in a ball. Actually, that looks like it might be too much. And then I just smash down on it. And then I take and pinch like a foot on the end of it there. And it's like his hip bone, like he's sitting down. And then I'm gonna see, put that on there. And then again, I found that, you know, using paintbrush in, because it's slick, you know, instead of your fingers sometimes just works better. And take, see, move him around a little bit. And he's starting to take shape. Okay, and then I just kind of use your finger too, because this is going to get rid of those creases where you laid those legs on top of one another. And it's going to look a little funky till you get it the way you want it. Okay, and then once you get him sitting, you want to make sure his feet and everything's, like I said, don't pay attention to how it looks right now. So then I'm gonna take and cut a mouth in here. And you want to open it some. Take a little piece of clay. Roll it out. Kind of thin. I take my finger and just do that. Just smooth it out a little bit. Be very careful. I probably shouldn't be using that like that. And get off there. And what I'm doing is making his tongue. It's very hard. What I'm trying to do is get that from sticking to my finger. And try to get that sitting in there the way you want it. Pull his nose out there a little bit. I just want to make sure it sticks. His little tongue just hanging out. That's how I did that one. You just do these in little pieces. And anything that needs critiqued, you know, you do that once you get everything else done. So we're getting there. So now we want to make some ears. And I do the same thing, but just not as small. And then you can also this is going to be a little too wide. Be both sides of his ears. That way I get them the same size. And then what you're trying to do is just to kind of round these, you know, edges where you just cut that. Just push that in there. And don't worry about if they're too long. You can always, you know, judge that when you get them on them. I like long ears. They're just cute. You know? And you do the same with that. And then what I'm doing is just making sure it sticks up here instead of using, sometimes I use my finger. Sometimes your finger's just a little too big. And you want to smooth that in to where there's no crease there. Do the other side. Okay, and now we're going to make a collar for him, and kind of the same way, just roll it out. And then take something that's got a design or you know, an impression on it. Doesn't matter what it is. And don't worry about, you know, it's going to be too long, but like again, you just cut that off. Probably should have put this on before I put the ears on, but this collar. And then cut off what you don't need. Fold that one over. Move your ear. And play with that a little bit, make sure. And then you just want to make sure you got the edge there smooth. Kind of mold it a little bit with the knife. We're getting there. And you can play with the ears, you know, to get them however you want them to sit. I'm gonna have those sitting out. I don't know what kind of dog it is, but they're cute. Let's do his tail. give him kind of a long one. Again, just smooth that out around there. And again, you're gonna have to play with some stuff. Make sure he's the way you want him. Okay, I'm just trying to make him stand up, guys. And then this is actually to clean up sweeper that I don't like using, and I use this, or anything you can use, and you go over the whole thing to make it look like he's got hair. Okay, and then you want to take, you know, a glass plate or whatever that's safe in the oven. And once you get him on here, that's where you're going to critique him, how you want him to stand, how you want his tail going. Just a suggestion, if you're doing the ears, the long ears, make sure it's not touching the collar you just put on, because then it's going to be difficult to paint that without getting it on the ears. And then just look on all the way around, you know, turn your dog all the way around, get his feet standing, kind of push down if you want him to stand taller. You know, you can maneuver him on here. Just make sure, because however you have him on here, that's how it's going to dry. Okay, I think I got him on here how I want him. And as you can see, you can use, just use anything, and you do all your touch-up on here before you put them in the oven, because like I said, that's, you don't fix what needs fixed, and it doesn't have to be perfect, because when you paint it, once it dries, it's going to cover up a lot of the camouflages and everything. So, just like I did with, you know, this guy looked probably just as bad as that one, but, you know, once you get them out, they look really cute, once you get them painted. And read the directions on the oven bake clay, you know, and just go by that. On this one, it's 275 for 15 minutes per 1/4 inch of thickness. So these were averaging me an hour, hour and a half. You know, it kind of depends. And then once you pull them out and you let them cool off, they continue to harden. So, you know, they should be fine. Okay, and as you see, once you get him out of the oven, you know, he's pretty hard. And what I do is I got one of these electric Dremels, and I just put a very fine tip on it. So if there is anything you missed, but you want to be very careful you don't break it, and just smooth it out, or whatever you need to do. Or if you think you had too big a piece of clay there, you can always, you know, fit it out. Okay, and so, you know, trying to get him, brush him off a little bit there. Make sure there's no, you know, dust left on him or anything from dremeling him. Okay, and then we are ready for paint. So I always have brown, white. I love put, you know, red for the tongue. I don't know if I'm going to do a blue collar or maybe a green one. I haven't decided yet. I need a little black for the eyes. Just a different color brown. I'll try that too. Okay, and that's more of a reddish. I might use that as afterwards, and I just put a little bit. Of course, I do everything on wax paper. A little bit of brown, some white, and usually when I do the whole dog, I get the bigger brush to use it, because I'm gonna get him all one color, and then I'm gonna go back and do the highlights. that mixed up good. You just make sure it's like you want. You do the whole dog, not the collar. You know, paint real easy around the collar. Usually when I get close to the collar, I'll use a fine tip so that I can, you know, get real close to it. I'll show you when I get to that point. Okay, now so as you see, I got the whole thing painted, except for around the collar. And don't worry if you make a little, you know, because I touched his collar down on the bottom there. That's not going to matter because I'm going to, you know, kind of like put that a little bit white first so that the real color is going to come out. And then next what you want to do, I've got the collar white and the tongue white, and that's why I like these really fine ones, because you just, once you get it wet, you can just shove it down there. And if you get, you know, a little bit of white on something that you don't want to, like on the side of the cheek or something, you know, don't worry about that because you're going to camouflage that with different colors. So I got two different kinds of brown, and I'm going to start with the darkest, move on to the lightest. And all you want to do here is just hit and miss, basically. Just dry brush it. You can barely see it, really. But once it's done, you have the different colors of the dog. And don't, you know, it don't have to be perfect. Just, you know, just, I don't know if you can see that. And just hit and miss with it. You know, you're not painting the dog, you're just putting some color on him. And you do that and you go down with the different colors on the face, the whole body. And then when you get down to your white, you do the same thing. Okay, and you notice I gave him a little white feet and a little white tail down there. So now I'm going to start with the tongue and the collar. And you notice I'm leaving the eyes for last because you want to get all your colors first, and then you're basically just going to dot some black eyes with a little dot of white on there. So now that you have the tongue, then just go ahead and paint the tongue and the collar, you know, whatever color you want. And just be careful you don't get anything on the ears or anything. But you have your browns, you can do touch-ups, which is another nice thing of doing multi-colors on a dog and just highlighting them because you won't be able to tell. And I just take my brush and slowly push it in there so it goes flat and I don't. You got to turn him upside down to the bottom of his tongue. Like I says, you know, if you get a little bit on him on the brown part, don't worry about that because you can touch it once you're done. You just have to be very careful and use a really thin paintbrush. While you get his tongue and his collar painted. Now to get the white dot in the eye, I take a, because I painted the nose black, I got the two black dots. I take a toothpick, use what you got, you know, and just barely put it, you know, a white dot in his eye. Wasn't enough. So it makes it look like the looking into the light or something. Yeah. And then just barely one on top of his nose here. Okay. Okay, so we just did little touch-ups before we spray painting with the clear stuff, little white tail. Okay, and I'm going to put the dots around his collar. You can buy those real little tiny stud things look like diamonds or whatever, put on there, put something else on before you go. But if you use those, the little sticky studs, looks like diamonds, you want to put that on after you clear spray it because it'll make them dull. Okay, you can probably see them a little better out here. And then I just take a light spray, let that dry, and then come back again and spray them all the way around again, and then just, you know, let them dry. Okay, so we have them done, and you've got the one we just finished, and of course, little Miss Piggy. One, I just put a little collar thing on him there and take him for a walk. I like the little red tongues. So